Hey everybody, so today we are going to talk about citations, and that is all about proving that you've actually read the story and you're not just making things up. So we've talked a lot about Racer, and today we are looking at Cite Your Evidence, the third part of a Racer paragraph. And a quick review. The topic sentence tells the main idea of your paragraph, and it lets the reader know what you're going to be talking about. It also helps you make sure that you are staying on task. Now, a citation is an actual quote from the text that you use to prove your argument, which was stated in the topic sentence. Now, a citation must include four components. If you miss any part of the citation, the entire thing is wrong. So, this is technically the hardest sentence to write because there are so many different parts. But once you learn how to do this, your writing is going to look that much more professional for the rest of your life. So let's go through this. Number one, a citation must include the name of the text or story. So, for instance, if I look at the front page here, the biggest words on the page are A Night to Remember. That's the name of my story. Or if I was looking at something that was an essay, right here up at the top in bold, Monkey Helpers. That's the name of this essay that I'm about to read. Now, back in the day, 100 million years ago, back when I was in school, if you had a book and you wanted to write it out by hand to say, hey, this is the title, you would underline it. And it would look something like this. Now, if you were talking about a short story or a poem or an article that you were reading out of a magazine or a newspaper, you would put quotes around it and it would look like this. And that would help me know that this is a short story that I am currently quoting. But today, we've got computers. And with computers, that means that instead of underlining a book or including quotes for a short story or a poem or an article, all titles can be highlighted by using italics. Now, to use italics, you need to hold down the control button on the bottom left side of your keyboard and then press I. And that'll put it in italics, make it slanty. Or you can highlight the text that you want to italicize and you can push that I button. That's what that's for. So all titles should look something like this. Number two, a citation must include the name of the author. So if I'm looking at A Night to Remember, the second biggest words on the page are right here. That's Walter Lord. That's the person who wrote the book. Or if I'm looking at an essay, right underneath the title, right there it is, Tamara Orr. You must always give the author credit immediately after introducing the name of the story for the first time. So it would look something like this: A Night to Remember by Walter Lord, Monkey Helpers by Tamara Orr, Cujo by Stephen King. You have to do this the first time that you say the name of the story. You do not have to continue to do this, only need to do it on the first time. A nice reminder: spell their names right. These are professional writers who get paid to write. Give them the respect that they deserve. Spell their names correctly and obviously capitalize their first name and their last name. Number three, a citation must include an exact quote from the text. You can't just make this stuff up. You must go back to the text and find a quote that will prove the main idea in your topic sentence. So if I'm doing A Night to Remember, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, aha, even the passenger's dogs were glamorous. That's my quote. Now, when including an exact quote from the text, you must include quotations around the words that are not yours, meaning you didn't make these words up, someone else did. Walter Lord did. So here are my quotes. And notice how the little tails are pointing in towards the words like that. That's how I know that the quotes are in the right position. The quotes should not be hanging out on their own. No spaces between the quotes and the text. Next, you need to identify who is speaking that exact quote. And it could be one of three people. First, it could be the author. And you can tell that the author is speaking when they are explaining facts or giving their personal opinion on a topic. So generally, you'll quote an author in a nonfiction article, such as any readings about science or history or similar readings that maybe you'll find on the SBAC or other state tests. So if you see something like this, which says, for the past 35 years, more than 160 people with injuries to the spinal cord have found support from a very unusual set of helping hands, those of specially trained capuchin monkeys. You're going to say, ah, that is the author talking. They're giving me facts about a topic. Now, the next person who's speaking could be the narrator. You can tell that the narrator is speaking when a story is being told in the third person point of view. If a character is not currently speaking, the narrator is telling the story. In some cases, the narrator could be the person telling the story, such as in The Telltale Heart, but you would only refer to them as the narrator if they do not give you their actual name. So, even the passenger's dogs were glamorous, the narrator is telling you about the story. Now, the last person who could be speaking is a character. You can tell a character is speaking because the narrator of the story will specifically mention that the character is now talking. A character can speak in either a story or it can be a quote from an actual person in a nonfiction text. Oh, by the way, it is also easy to see when a character speaks because their words will be surrounded by quotes. How did the monster in my closet get out? Is it a dream? Is it my nap? And oh, by the way, that is Tad speaking in Stephen King's Cujo. When writing an exact quote, you must first tell the reader of your paper who is speaking and then include the quote to make it clear. So I would have to say the author says, comma, space, quote, for the past 35 years, blah, 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 blah. The narrator says, comma, space, quote. Even the passenger's dogs were glamorous. Tad says, comma, space, quote. Now here's a nice reminder. You do not include the ending punctuation after the quote because you must also include part 4 of your citation in the same sentence. A citation must include the location in the text where the quote can be found. You must show the location of your quote so anybody can easily find it in a text. So if I'm looking at even the passenger's dogs were glamorous, I'm going to look right there and I'm going to say, aha, number 2. So you will find a quote in one of 3 locations. Number 1, a paragraph number, like this. This is in paragraph 2. So I would put it looking like this. I would put P period 2. And then I have it in brackets like that. Now, the second place I might find something is in a page number. So if I'm looking at an essay, it might not have paragraph numbers, but I'll have a page number. So I might just say PG period, and then we'll just call this page 1. The last place where you would find a location is the line number. So if I was looking at poetry, like Humpty Dumpty. So these are lines over on the left side. They're not paragraph numbers, they're line numbers. And if I wanted to say, hey, I want to quote all 3 of these lines, I would actually just spell out the entire word lines. Then I would just say 3-5, meaning that is 3, 4, and 5. So if I put it all together, I would say the title is my first thing. That's a night to remember. This is an example again. My author is Walter Lord. The quote is from the narrator in this case. There's my quote. Even the passenger's dogs were glamorous. And my location is paragraph 2. And I would ultimately write it like this. In A Night to Remember, which is in italics, by Walter Lord, comma, the narrator says, comma, space, quote. Even the passenger's dogs were glamorous. That is my end quote, space, and then I'm going to put in brackets, P period 2 and bracket, and then finally I have a period at the end. That is how you write your citation sentence.